Capio is a company in the health sector. One of our customers, which we helped with Netscaler and other stuff for the last 10 years. A few years ago, they decided to move to a passwordless authentication, smart card certificate-based authentication. I'll get into that in more detail later. And so the presentation is partly based on the project I work with on them and their environment. I highlighted Denmark there, as you can see, because they have some hospitals in Denmark. I don't know what comes of them. So let's look at a primitive, simplified Netscaler setup. So this has nothing to do with Capio, this is just a general setup. So you have the corporate network, and you have two web services to the right there, web server 1, web server 2. You also have the Netscaler environment. You can imagine that the Netscaler environment is the VPX or the appliance or whatever you're using. And on the Netscaler we have a load balancing server and we have an authentication server. And on the left here you can see the end users who's sitting on his non-corporate computer, his private computer. Let's assume he's connected to the environment to internet. The red lines are authentication traffic and the black lines are regular HTTP traffic. You probably know this already, but the authentication on the AAA authentication server is cookie-based. So when you use complete authentication, it gets a cookie in its web browser, and that will be used to prove that it's gated, you're authenticated. And then if you start a web browser, you have to authenticate again. And you don't have to use an authentication server on Netscaler, but there's two primary reasons. One is that, well, let's look at the alternative. If you don't use it, then you have to use authentication on the backend servers. And then you have to expose the login page on each web server directly to the internet, and you don't want to do that. The second reason is AAA gives you what I call shared single sign-on. In this example, we only have one load balancing server, but imagine there could be 20 here. You have SharePoint, webmail, time reporting, etc. And once you've done authentication on the AAA server, you will get single sign-on to all of them. You don't have to authenticate 20 times. So let's go through the process flow here. I'll log on to this system called system1.mycompany.com. So he opens a web browser and he browses to it. The load balancing server will reply. He will see that the user doesn't have a AAA cookie, authentication cookie. So he will redirect the user to login.mycompany.com for authentication. The user is presented with the Netscaler login form, and he types in his username and password, and he succeeds, and he gets the cookie in his web browser. And the login.mycompany.com will redirect him back to the original URL, system1. And at this time, the load balancer will see that the user has an authentication cookie, he will let it through, and now the first HTTP packet will reach the backend. And so far, we only done authentication on the Netscaler. We still haven't done anything on the backend. So when the backend server sees the packet incoming, he's gonna reply with not authorized or please authorize message with a 401 message. The Netscaler will see this reply and it will intercept it. So it then goes to the web browser in the user's web browser. And so it intercepts it, and because the user in step 3 earlier provided his username and password, that is cached and stored in the Netscaler memory. So Netscaler can provide the single sign-on using those cached values, and that's NTLM SSO. And NTLM is basically a cache and encrypted username and password that you send in a string. So Netscaler intercepts the message, replies back with the cached and encrypted values, and the web server accepts this NTLM hash, and the user is now logged. And this whole NTLM single sign-on story there, the user never sees that because that happens only between the Netscaler and the backend service. So here is basically everything I just said, but with the download step. And I have some pictures here. So here's the Netscaler logo. I think you're familiar. This is a bit old now, the green bubble. And here are some examples of the 401 message. This isn't, and again, the user doesn't see it, it's the Netscaler sees it, but just to give you an example. And the two key points here is step 3 and step 6. So in step 3, the user provides the username and password, which Netscaler will cache. And then in step 6, the Netscaler will use those values. Now imagine a scenario where you don't have a username and password authentication anymore in step 3. You have a passwordless. The Netscaler is unable to reuse the cached values in step 6. So another method will be needed to resolve the single sign-on to the backend. If just for sake of argument, if you don't manage single sign-on, then the 401 packet will actually go through and reach the end user, and then the end user will see these two, either the prompt or the 401 unauthorized thread text. So I'm gonna go through those 3 methods, but first I'm gonna talk a bit about passwordless authentication and examples of that. So one is certificate-based. The user has a certificate on his computer or on his phone, and he browses to login.mycompany.com, presents the certificate, and the user will do a lookup in AD for a user that this certificate belongs to. Another example of passwordless authentication is NemID, which I think is the Danish electronic ID. Yeah. And that's SAML based, and SAML is a ticket based system, not password reliant. So that would also be an option you could use. We have an equivalent version in Sweden to an NemID called BankID. And we have a few customers that are implementing this on their Netscaler to use as a primary authentication. And there are some benefits here. One is that almost all citizens will have it because it's used for private reasons, manage a bank or purchases. And the second one is it's a two-factor authentication. You need the phone or a computer with an MID, and you also need to know the PIN code. So you get a free two-factor authentication. The alternatives is to use SMS or mobile, but then you have to manage mobile numbers for the users. So let's go back to this certificate authentication. So this is a smart card issued by a Swedish institution. It's issued to all medical workers in Sweden, doctors, nurses, IT technicians like me who need it. And I need a PIN code to access the certificate stored on this. And I have 2 pictures, one picture here from the certificate. And you can see there's a field called principal name, and there's a value there, SC55. That's a unique value tied to me, Rasmus Kindberg. And then at the end there you have @capu.se. That suffix is optional. And, for Capu we use it because we use it in the, as you can see in the second picture, we use this value for UPN to match it. This unique value has to exist on some attribute on my user account in AD. It doesn't have to be the UPN. But someone at least, so the user, so the Netscaler can match the certificate presented with an AD account. So you have 2 examples of passwordless authentication. Now let's talk about some methods to solve the single sign-on between Netscaler and the backend. And I'm going to be focusing on the Kerberos constraint delegation here. Has anyone here worked with that before? Maybe you? Yeah. You can also do SAML federation between the Netscaler and the backend, and you can also do some bit of custom code, custom authentication basically. And I'm going through the, as I see it at least, the advantages and drawbacks of each one. There are probably more methods here, but these are the ones that I know of.
Isn't there a lot of using SAML at all as the primary ones?
So what?
Often the SAML isn't that the primary ones in a lot of other cases like the cloud.
Yes, but then Usually this is for in-house systems, and they are quite old, legacy, and they usually don't support SAML. But they usually, so we're running this solution at quite a few customers, and in almost all cases you have a large majority of IIS web servers, and they have Windows Authentication enabled, and that's the only requirements really for Kerberos constrained delegation from a backend perspective. So most environments are already ready for Kerberos, so you don't have to introduce some of them. But then you could have these PHP custom web servers or Apache or something that don't support it, then you need to look at some or the third option. So Kerberos constrained delegation. The advantage is you don't really have to touch much on the web servers, assuming that they already support it. But if you're running a regular IIS web server, then you don't have to do much. The drawbacks of it, it's complex, it's to understand and configure. The web server has to support it, but it shouldn't be a problem for IIS. And you need to do some service account and SPN configuration in your Active Directory. SAML, like I said earlier, it's ticket-based, so Netscaler doesn't need to know the password. It just has to have a trust between the Netscaler and the web server. And it's a fine alternative, but it requires a backend server supports SAML, and most legacy applications do not. And you also know how to configure a SAML configuration. And so let's assume you have a web server that doesn't support Kerberos and SAML is impossible, but you have web developers available. They can change the source code or add or remove extensions. One way would be to basically remove all authentication on the backend and have it only look at a cookie called NSUsername test user 1, and then it creates a session cookie based on that. Basically, the backend server will rely 100% on the Netscaler providing an accurate value, and then so in this case, a smart card. I insert a smart card, I present to the Netscaler extracts the username from the certificate, creates a cookie using rewrite rules, and inserts my username to the backend, and then the backend will give me a session cookie based on this. There are some security concerns with this, obviously. One is that you have to have rewrite rules on the Netscaler to prevent someone manually creating this cookie, and you also have to prevent someone on the corporate network connecting directly to the web servers and creating the cookie. So they bypassing the Netscaler. Then I could just write test user 2 instead and get a session cookie as a different user. So yeah, but again, you have to have web developers ready to be able to do this on the back end. Actually, any questions so far on this? So let's look more specifically at Kerberos constrained delegation. It's the same graph as before, basically. Yeah, there's some few differences. One is it's not using password authentication anymore, it's a certificate on the left there. You have KCD SSO to the backend. KCD standing for Kerberos constrained delegation. And we have a new component, the Key Distribution Center, KDC. They love these acronyms. And let's just go through the process flow again. I mean, it will be clear to you what's different. So again, the user browses to the system 1, gets redirected to login for authentication. He presents his certificate, then Netscaler does an ED lookup, finds a user with my UPN, accept the authentication and redirects the user back to system 1. Now the HTTP packet is sent to the backend. The backend will again reply, you need to authenticate. The Netscaler will again accept it. And this time, instead of creating an MTLM hash, it will send a request to the Key Distribution Center server. This is going to be most likely on one of the domain controllers, because it's an AD role. So basically what the Netscaler is saying is, give me a Kerberos ticket for this particular end user for this particular backend server. And then if everything is correct, you're going to get a ticket back, and Netscaler is going to reply back immediately to the web server with its tickets. And in step 9, the user should be logged on. And again, the user doesn't see any of this. He only sees his Netscaler logo on, and then he's inside the system. So everything is written down. So as I think you see here in step 3, it's a certificate authentication. And in step 7, you have the Kerberos ticket request. And next time we're going to explain some more about Kerberos and the different types of Kerberos protocols there are. But this is the Kerberos delegation, where you have the Netscaler asking for a ticket on behalf of one of the user for the web server X, and the Netscaler is using a specific service account to do this request. So it's 3 variables basically. So let's look at this service account. Service account Y here that the Netscaler is using to request the tickets. Basically, just create a regular ED service account. Password never expires. It can be a domain user, doesn't need anything more than that. You need to create a service principal name on it, and because service principal names are Kerberos specific attribute of property. And then to the right here, you have the delegation part of the same service account. But first, let me just explain the Kerberos. So you have a regular Kerberos, which is dependent on me asking the key distribution center, the domain controller, directly for a Kerberos ticket. In this case, the user is sitting at home on his private computer, and the domain controller is not going to be exposed to the internet. Using regular Kerberos, in this case, is not possible. And sure, the Netscaler could use regular Kerberos, but all you would get is a ticket for himself, not for the end user, which is workable. So we have to do Kerberos delegation instead, and that is when a service account is asking on behalf of another user. And then you have 2 different types of delegation. You have unconstrained and constrained. The unconstrained delegation, on the right picture you can see you have 3 radio buttons. You have in the middle one, trust is used for delegation to any service. That's the unconstrained. And I hope no one is using that because it's a big security problem. Basically, you don't specify any backend server. So if someone gets access to this service account, they can impersonate any user or any backend server in your domain. So the third option there, which we have marked and highlighted, which is the constrained delegation, you need to specify the backend service down there in the drop in the menu. So in this case, this service account, SA ABC KCD test, you can only request a ticket for my backend server RAC IS 11 and no other server. And you can only do it for the service type HTTP, which includes SSL, but not 6 or any other type of. And this is basically everything you need to do in AD to enable Kerberos constrained delegation on Netscaler. You have this service account, and you create this SPM, and you give it delegation rights to your particular backend servers. In this, one thing I should mention here. In this case, we are talking about one particular load balancer. But again, if you have 20 different systems, you want to use one service account for each load balancer. And then you specify, let's say it's probably going to be 1 or 2 servers per service account. If you use a single service account and you add all 20 or 40 servers, the consequences of security, of a passive leak of this account are bigger. So it's basically just a mitigation of risk or minimizing the consequences in case of it. That's what I'm almost very happy. It means more configuration, but I think that's good. So this is the AD part. Let's look at the Netscaler part. Basically, you create a traffic policy and a KCD account on Netscaler. You bind the traffic policy to your load balancer, so it can get triggered when the backend responds with 401. And then in the KCD account here, at the bottom here, delegated user, which is highlighted in red, you can see I specified the service account in AD. And the password is also specified, but it's not showing right now in the picture here, but Netscaler knows the password. He needs to know the password. Then there are basically two properties you need to fill in, realm and user realm. The first one, realm, is the domain where the web servers are, the backend servers, and the user realm is where the end user account resides. In this case, I made it trivial in this case because it's only in the same domain. But it could be two completely different forests, it could be two different child realms. The service SPN, that should match this value. It should be built up to this value, HTTP RAC AS 11, if I want to create a Kerberos ticket for this particular server. And by leaving it blank, Netscaler will fill this out automatically using the server name that I have had on Netscaler. So basically you should always leave it blank and ensure that you add all server objects on Netscaler as FTDN, and that's probably the key. And again, we just create a traffic policy, bind the KCD account to the traffic action, and you're good to go, basically. You don't need to do anything with session action or session policy, it's fine. So again, let's just look at the same picture, and maybe it's more clear now. So basically, when the Netscaler, the load balancer will request a Kerberos ticket, it will use the AD service account, request it on behalf of the end user, and request it for the backend server. Any questions? Is it clear? Let's look at some considerations when using KCD, Kerberos Constraint Delegation. So one has to do with cross-domain or cross-forest scenarios. In the picture below here, you have two different forests. You have a forest trust between two of them. Let's say you have the web service in the left forest and the end users in the right one. In order for Kerberos Constraint Delegation to work, you need to have the highest level of trust, which is a two-way transitive forest trust. You can also, there are some other types of trust, like realm trust and I don't even know the names of them, but they won't work. You need the highest level. And then if you look at only the left triangle there, under this forest, by default, there's a trust between a parent and child, but there's no trust between two different child domains by default. So you can see that. So if you have the web service in corp, bitwire.com, and you have the end users in USA, corp composo, it won't work until you create a trust between those two child domains. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Are you pointing with your mouse because there's no mouse?
No, I'm not. It's not showing. So.
Okay.
But did you understand what I was saying? Some more considerations. Like I mentioned earlier, you want to do one service account for each web system or load balancer to mitigate the risk in case the password leaks. You can also do something called key tag files. So this is the Netscaler config, and you can see at the top there, and there's a checkbox that is not checked called the use key tag file. Instead of specifying these values manually, you can give the Netscaler a prepared file with this value in it. And that works fine as well, and you can do it either way. The only thing you have to keep in mind is that this key tag file is very sensitive and contains sensitive data, so it has to be only stored on Netscaler, which should only be stored on Netscaler. if someone gets access to it, they can just brute force the file quite quickly to get, and then we get access to the service account, and then they can start inputting. When you create an AD account, I don't know if you guys know this, but you can scroll down to the settings on the account, and at the bottom you'll find this account support, Kerberos AS 256. Those settings are used when the service account is requesting Kerberos tickets. So depending on this setting here, it will decide the encryption of that Kerberos ticket. And the default encryption is RC4, which is not secure as well. So this is something to definitely note. Another is time skew. You have to ensure that the Netscaler and the key distribution center are running somewhat similar times. I've seen issues with the Netscalers, like the NTP settings are not applying on the secondary node, and then the Kerberos is completely broken on that one, no use can on one, so this is something to keep in mind. And the last part here is when you're configuring and setting this up, Netscaler will cache Kerberos tickets in memory and on disk. So when you do a change on Netscaler, you have to do these two steps in order to get a clean test. Otherwise, it will keep reusing the broken Kerberos ticket, and you won't see any difference. So to summarize now, some benefits, or what it has benefited to Capio. The ability to log on with a smart card and using constraint delegation to provide single sign-on. Some of these are quite obvious. IT and the end users don't have to bother with password management anymore. You get a faster log on. Basically, you only just have to insert a card into the PIN, or there's also legal requirements. Every company in Sweden that provides patient data has to protect it with two-factor authentication, and this qualifies as two-factor. So there's also legal reasons. When a new employee starts at Capio, they don't have to send the username password to a Hotmail address or their private email, or they don't have to send a physical letter to their home address. They can just tell them log on with your smartphone, and it works immediately. And in this case for Capio, they have majority of their web servers were IIS, and they were the supported Kerberos. So using the Kerberos constraint delegation was quite obvious as the solution. We didn't have to do too much of the SAML or the custom method. So Capio didn't have to spend too much money and time on making this transition. And that's it. Any questions?
The PIN for the smart card, is that some custom application, or is that built into Windows?
If you opened it out a few years ago, I would say you need the custom third-party software. But with Windows 10 and everything, the smart card software in Windows 10 is quite good. So I don't have to do it on my computer. But I think it depends also on the type of card you're using, like the hardware. But I'm not sure. For Capio and other customers, they do use the software, and they recommend it because it gives single sign-on capabilities and caches, and it just makes it more seamless for the user. So I would recommend it. Any other questions? All right, we're done.